crossing point is, this is actually one of the few graphs we see in economics class where you have two upward sloping lines. This slopes up. We have to add a second upward sloping line for this to cross with. So this one is just a mathematical idea. All right, so I'm going to draw it separate down here, but we have to combine them. All right, so what I'd said previously is that you could have a balanced budget. If I earn $0, the only way to keep my budget in balance is to spend zero. So zero income and zero spending means I'm not pulling money out of the bank and I'm not putting money into the bank. But if I make $100, the only way for me to keep my budget in balance is to spend 100. Right? So if I spend 90, that means I'm saving 10, and that's kind of bad for the economy. If I earn 100 and I spend 110, I have to get $10 out of savings. So the only point where I'm not doing that is at 100 earned and 100 spent. And then one more point, 200. The only point where earning 200 means no savings and no dis-savings is this point right here. So when I connect all these dots, I could put in everything in between. I could put $50, $1. I could put $102.05. That would mean that I have to spend $102.05. All of these equal what is called a 45-degree line. You can also have it as AE equals Y. That's another way to write it. And what that means, in this case, AE equals C, because we're only consuming. Our whole economy is consuming. But this is an equality. You might have seen this in algebra class of a slope of 1, or you might have seen it as y equals x in an algebra class. But remember, we're not talking about y and x. We've renamed AE, and we've really talked about this. So I'm going to write it the way that we're going to see it throughout. AE equals y. Slope of 1. Or in algebra class, y minus x. So this is kind of where we should be. This is where you actually are. So when we combine the graphs, we're going to just add them both together. AE equals y. All right, so these are the two graphs that we combine. All right, now, if we look at economics and we say we always look at the crossing point first, this is our crossing point. This, and I'm going to call it Y star, this is what we call equilibrium GDP. This is the only point where spending equals income. Now, if I earn a little bit more, I'm going to save part of it. This gap here is where my income is higher than my savings or my spending. This is what is called saving. My income is higher than my spending right here. Right? It's a little gap. If I go over here, my income is low, but I'm still spending. This gap is dis-saving. And it's the gap between my spending and my income. My income is low, but my spending is high. Only here is there no savings and no dis-saving. This is where we get equilibrium GDP, the crossing point of the two. Now let me show you one more thing. Now I'm going to show you a shift between if I happen to spend more, what happens? The way that we draw an increase in spending is like this. You increase spending, and so in real life, the things that could make consumers spend more could be a holiday. It could be that people are confident about jobs. It could be that the government gave a tax cut, which has happened. All of those things have happened. It could be really good weather and everybody goes on vacation. There's a lot of things that can make consumption go up. How we draw it is like this. We shift this curve upward. And so you could say that at zero income, people spend more. And that could be good weather. That could be a nice summer. That has nothing to do with income. Whether you make $0 or $1,000, everybody spends more. And the whole line shifts up. But what we see here is that the crossing point shifts over too. This is our new crossing point. And if you look here, GDP goes up from here to here. So in other words, an increase in consumption leads to an increase in GDP.